Hello and welcome back to my channel. So concerning the Montgomery Brawl, I've made videos, different types of videos, races reacting to this incident, and I've just realized today that I left out the Asians. So just to be fair, I've made this video of Asians reacting to this incident of the Montgomery Riverboat Brawl. We all know what happened. So let's just watch, leave your own thoughts in the comment section below, and we're gonna talk at the end of this video. Let's get into it.
As with most folks on a certain side of TikTok that I am also on, I have been wheezing over videos and memes of the Montgomery River boat brawl for the past hour since I found out because a friend texted me about it. But there was something that was nagging at the back of my brain, something about it that I felt was different. And it's not the racial aspect of it. It is, sort of. But here's the thing, after I thought about it. Not a single pew-pew went off specifically by the pigs who were called in to maintain order. Here's why that is relevant. As someone who grew up in Alabama, I am well aware that Montgomery is a historically very largely Black demographic. And when you look up the specific demographic of Montgomery, it is 60% Black, about 30% white, and the rest is Hispanic, etc., etc. Why that is relevant is I feel like that's why the pigs that were called to the scene did not use the usual excessive force and pew-pews that we see all over the rest of the US when not even stuff like this happens, but very simple conflict happens. Because in an area that is 60% Black by demographic, then the pig force is also mostly Black as well. And I think that was a large part of why there was only physical violence between the two parties that brawled and no other extra violence that was brought in by the pigs. And yeah, if you weren't aware, this space is very ACAB. So welcome and goodbye if you're not for that ideology. But that's what made it different. That's why we can laugh about it, because there was no other tragedy that occurred that we have to be outraged over, that we normally get outraged over, right? It's something that people of color, specifically Black folks, can partake in the joy of, and again, not mourn a tragedy. So I just want to introduce that idea into people, especially if you are not Black and you're watching these videos.
Y'all, I was watching all the videos of the Montgomery Brawl, the Battle of Montgomery, and I just want to say the delegation of India and all South Asian nations, we support you. We support the Black community, and we're so happy and proud of y'all. And we pulling up. We pulling up with our folding chairs from the churches, from the mosques, from the temples, everything. What? This is on another level. So happy for you, and so just a moment of solidarity because we love y'all.
Watch her whole video regarding that brilliant Montgomery boat brawl. But she talks about how the white women, specifically the racist white women who got involved, basically got what was coming to them. They got into that fight. They started hitting the Black men. I mean, how do they not expect to not get hit back? But that's the thing. Specifically, racist white women, not all white women, I'm just talking about racist white women here. We know that they use their words to attack people of color in really indirect and insidious ways. It all starts by trying to ban the history of people of color in America. This is from a video I made a while back, but trying to ban books. This goes all the way back to the Civil War, by the way, trying to ban books that talk about slavery, that talk about critical race theory, that talk about LGBT LGBTQ issues. They try to get these books banned from classrooms and this history erased because they claim it's for the sake of protecting children from difficult topics, but we all know what they really mean. I mean, look at the way Jennifer Aniston attacked Jamie Foxx by twisting his words by saying she's not anti-Semitic, therefore implying that he is, even though his post is not anti-Semitic at all. I mean, I went through 14 years of a Catholic education in the whitest of white neighborhoods, and when I read that, the first thing I thought was, well, fake friends, obviously Judas. Like, Judas's betrayal of Jesus was the impetus for his death. And racist white women using words against people of color, I mean, it all goes back to Emmett Till, too. Using their words to create violent outcomes, but hiding behind this facade of respectability or civility, quote unquote. And because their words are used in such a way, for the person on the receiving end of that, you want to enact physical violence, but because of the rules of civility, you can't. Because you know that the first person to throw the punch is the one who gets in trouble, despite what the other person may have said, even if they may have really fucking deserved it. So that's why seeing those racist white women in Montgomery get their asses kicked too was just so satisfying. Again, they ran into the fight. They were throwing punches directed at the black men. And I'm going to end with a story that's kind of an example of the violent ways that racist white women use words against people of color. Now, this was years ago, before I had a strong sense of who I was and what I stood for, before I started speaking out about a lot of things, because I was young, I was insecure, I was still learning about myself, but that's besides the point. So I was in Nashville in this room full of white people, only person of color, and there's about a group of like 6 of us talking, and as usual, conversations cross over, but you can sort of hear what everyone else is talking about. But this one white woman who is in another conversation says to the other person that she's talking to, she says to that person, immigrants and college-educated liberals really bring this country down. And she glances over at me knowing damn well that I am the daughter of immigrants, I am a college-educated liberal, and she gave me that glance like she knew I could hear her, and she was daring me to do something about it. Of course, the impulse was to slap her, but I couldn't do that, especially surrounded by white people who were probably definitely cut from the same cloth that she was. So it was like her using her words in that way was a way of putting me in my place, a violent act of reminding me that I'm lesser than, but using words to enact that violence. Anyway, if that were to happen now, I probably would have just thrown my drink in her face, because I'm old enough where I just don't give a fuck anymore. And something like that does deserve a drink thrown in your face. But yeah, that's my message to you. I learned not to take that kind of shit anymore. I hope you know very well by this point, you do not deserve to ever take that kind of shit from anyone. And for all the black men and women involved in the Montgomery Brawl, bravo. I love you. I wish you a great day, week, month, and year, and life. Anyway, that's all I got.
I've seen a few palm-colored non-Alabama folks comment and talk about the Montgomery Brawl as if it's a very Alabama-specific sort of racism, when it's not. For the intents and purposes of this video, I'm going to use the word facial instead of racial, because this platform doesn't really like it when I use that word. As someone who's now grown up in Alabama and has lived in Connecticut, Michigan, and now California, let me tell you, even as an Asian, that kind of facial stuff happens all over the US. And I'm really tired of the holier-than-thou pearl clutching I've seen from especially northern state folks, like, we would never attack a man for doing his job based on his skin color. We're better than that. Like it's some backward state that's pulling the rest of the US down. It's not. Is it more visible in the South? I'll give you points for that, because the facial stuff that happened to me specifically in Alabama, so I'm talking about my own experience as an Asian American, was a lot more blatant and aggressive, yes, kind of like what we saw in that video. But don't think for a moment that the facial stuff that happens in places like Michigan, in places like California, the so-called great liberal state of inclusivity, is any less worse than the stuff that happens in Alabama. And there's a sort of classism and othering of people that palm-colored folks do to A, make themselves feel better. Two, as I said, the othering separates themselves from, oh, those are just rednecks being rednecks who are unhappy that they lost the war years and years ago. Again, that's not the case. So if you are palm-colored and you're looking at this like, oh, this doesn't happen in my town or my state. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It may not be obvious to you. It may not be as obvious as that incident that was captured on video for the Montgomery Brawl. And that makes it just as insidious as a physical attack. So I need some of you to take quite a few steps back and reflect before you start commenting on this would never happen in my town. Okay, bye.
Okay, so fair and square, nothing else left to say on this topic. We all know what happened at the Riverboat Brawl, what happened, who was beaten, who got hurt. I mean, we are just up to date on this. It's time to move on unless something else comes up. I'm 100% sure that this won't cool off so easily. You know, we might even enter 2024 to its anniversary to, what happened at the Brawl, to another anniversary. I mean, this has been recorded. This is historical. This will be spoken about from generations to generations to generations. Watch this space. That's all I had for you guys in today's video. Please make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you have not, turn on the notification bell so that every time I upload such new videos, you'll be notified. I'll see you in my next video. Peace be with you.
Can't wait, a first time, a first date. You're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if I